Hey, this is Michael Matry. I'm an inspirational speaker, poet.
Yo, what's up? My name is Jason Ferguson, also known as Jason Ferg. I am an emergency manager at a major university, but I'm also a music artist.
My name is Vladimir Duray. I'm a barber in California, Rancho Cucamonga at 2% Barbershop.
Hey, I'm Joe Free, or Joshua Freeman. I work in property management and real estate, and I'm passionate about family, God, and finance.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Alert and Calm podcast. My name is Jason, and as always, it's an honor to be here with you. I am with my brothers for life, Joe and Vlad. Y'all
Yes,
say
sir.
what up?
What's going on, everyone?
Peace.
Peace to everybody who's tuning in. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that is near and dear to all of our hearts. And I know as friends, we create space for us to talk about this, but I think it's important that we extend this conversation to those who are following this podcast as well. But it's about mental health. It really is about mental health. It's about us being well and the struggles, the ups, the downs, the triumphs that we have experienced as we have navigated our own personal journeys, even in standing with one another and being well. So I'm going to kick us off with a question for us to contemplate, and it's really about trauma from our past, things that we've experienced in our past that may have influenced, for better or worse, how we show up today, how we show up in relationships.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk a little bit about that, and then perhaps share some perspective on how you have been able to identify areas where trauma has impacted you and ways that you've worked to remedy that.
Yeah. Well, I think when you ask that question, one biggest thing that came to mind is when I lost my mom at 17 to breast cancer. You know, when I lost my mom to breast cancer at 17, it's not, you can't really explain the loss of a mother, of your mom, to someone. It's like there's a space that just goes dark in your life, right? It's a space that's like, what's going on here? Like, this used to be filled, now it's just that. So now you start to turn and look at, like, you still have to live life.
Yeah.
And you still have to, you know, a week later or however long it is that you took time off or whatever the case may be, you still have to go back to work, you still have to go back to school, society is still moving along, life is happening. And now what happens is that, especially back in the day, we didn't really have, like, mental health was talked about, but it was shied away from because it almost made it seem like you were sick. Like,
Right.
you're
Something's wrong
with him. He's mentioning mental health as he's not okay.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is like, now with you're moving throughout life with this empty space, the memory of what you have of this your mom, the memory I had of my mom is just, it's just a memory now. So as I'm moving forward, like back here, I have a memory of her, and it only came up so far throughout my life. So it's made it very difficult. I've tried many ways to cope with it. Obviously, family goes back to doing what they're doing, right? Everyone moves on. So now you go back to finding brotherhood. You go back to getting close to your brothers. You know what I mean? Your actual brothers, right? Like your siblings. You're like trying to, like, if you have siblings, right? But for me, I was creating stronger relationships with my siblings. And then I also had gotten into a relationship, you know, a serious relationship. And I felt like what happened was I dove head first, right? great person, but I felt alive again.
Because of
that relationship.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, like, it's a female in my life. I mean, obviously it's a girlfriend, it's not my mom, but it's just a female that's in my life that I love, that makes me feel good, and makes me feel like, okay, I can move forward through life, right? And you still have that void, right? But at the same time, it's almost like you're kind of like, now you have a way of looking back and saying, man, I miss you. I miss you. I love you. I wish you were still here.
Yeah.
But then it's like there are moments in your current life where you're like, I'm happy, you know, I'm proud of myself where I'm at now. I'm proud that I'm still able to like move forward without, you know, going quote unquote crazy or losing it or whatever the case may be, or however you want to label it. I was able to get through that.
Yeah.
And I think it was, for me, it was love again. And I just started to feel, and I was like, okay, I can move through life with
That's
love.
what's up.
I can relate to that because like my story is kind of funny, a little bit similar because we as you guys know, we grew up in the church, right? And my mom and dad were very active in the church. So whenever they were at church, it would be at church. My father worked at the church, and we would be at church like maybe 5-6 days a week, right? But when my parents were away, like rehearsal, work, whatever it was, our big sister would almost be like our second mom. And I always knew her as my big sister, but it wouldn't register that she was like mom. You know what I mean? Because she's just my older sister. And I think she was like maybe 8 or 10 years older than me. So fast forward to when I'm getting married, I proposed to my girl. We are planning the marriage. We getting married in April. I'm about to be a married man. And me and my little sister are gonna go out to New Orleans where my father grew up, just to have a, you know, brother-sister trip or whatever. And we go out in New Orleans, my mom is talking about she gonna go over to my big sister's house and get her some herbs or something because she having something going on with her health. And my big sister had been married. They had been trying to have a kid, they didn't have a kid, and that's where a little bit of the other pressure was coming in. We're like, all right, for sure, like I need to get married too and have some kids, give my parents some grandchildren that are like local, you know what I'm saying? Because my some other older siblings that are further away had some kids or whatnot, but it's gonna be different with me.
Yeah.
So we went on a New Orleans trip and we come back and my big sister had passed away.
Oh man.
So that was in February, at the end of February. Now I gotta get married at the beginning of April.
Yeah.
Right.
That's tough, man.
So
Sorry to hear that too, but-
it's all good. But it was a trip because then I get married. But I'm going through planning this marriage and getting all the way to the marriage and having all of this stuff happen, where there's supposed to be a place for my big sister, and she's gone. And it all hits me like a ton of bricks. Like, dang, that was like my second mom's.
Yeah.
That was like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And similarly, thank God I was getting married. So like that helped the bond, like even get that, you know what I'm saying? Stuff was kind of crazy when you get married. And I know you're about to cross that threshold, so
Yes,
it can't be that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me dealing with that and me practicing optimism and me practicing just being positive and making sure that I listen to something positive every day and studying what food does for your body and what physical activity does for your body. I remember when my father passed and I had to go to work right away because I needed to use the bereavement for like the funeral and planning and all these other kind of stuff, right? So thank God that it came to my memory like, okay, like I need to fast and then take this herb. And then if I'm feeling down, I would go out of my cubicle because I was working property management for a portfolio at that time.
Yeah.
And I would go on the side of my cubicle and literally do push-ups.
Yeah.
Because I
Just
knew that the endorphins would help me like get through the day.
Right.
So that is the way that I dealt with trauma. I wouldn't even say that because I usually rest in my mind in a place of gratitude, and I try and do that and try and envision where I'm going, where I'm moving forward, because I do have a contemplative mind. And if I do get in a place where I can ruminate, I will start to categorize and analyze, and it will just start to be a cycle. But I broke that earlier on, like when I was like maybe 12, 14, 13 or something like that. Yeah. And my father had even said that later. He's like, yo, you seem like a different person. Like now you kind of seem like a social butterfly, and you smile on everybody, and boom, boom, boom. So that's really just how I dealt with it. Just being positive, being optimistic,
Yeah.
and trying to move forward and seeing whatever it was. Death seems unnatural to me, and that did happen like maybe a year or so. I lost my best friend to I don't know if it was health issues or whatever it was, but it did hit me like a ton of bricks. But it's just kind of like, you know, when I feel that I'm sad, I remember telling myself, I was like, I'm sad and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's powerful. Rest up to all of the loved ones we've lost. Grief that comes by way of losing loved ones can be very heavy. Mm-hmm. I was once with my colleagues on a team retreat that involved like a camping trip, and many of my colleagues at that time were military veterans, had served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Many of them, we were sitting around a campfire where we were camping and just telling stories. It started out like laughter, and we were just like cracking jokes, and it was cool. And then all of a sudden, people started to speak about comrades of theirs who they lost in combat, you know, overseas. And I'm a civilian. I never served in our nation's military. And I'm listening to these stories, and people are like calling out the first and last names of their close friends who they lost. And as they're doing that and kind of going around the circle, it comes to me, and I had more names than them.
Oh, wow.
That was jarring. As a civilian who has never deployed to combat in any shape or form, growing up in Chicago on the west side and just doing life, I had more friends, close friends, than some of my colleagues that are now, and primarily as a result of gun violence,
Sheesh.
gone.
Wow.
And so you think about that. I think about, in that moment, I was like, what does this say? You know, number one, and then number two, who else has this story? You know, like this can't just be me. There are plenty of people who, like me, have this exact same story where there are just too many names of people that they started out with that are no longer here. And I share that to say also that I can recall quite a few of my comrades, because I grew up playing basketball, and so quite a few of my closest friends who are also now gone, at some shape of, at some time of my journey, we hooped together, right?
Right.
And so I remember one morning I was putting up shots in the gym. It was like super early, like 6:30 in the morning. And I almost felt like the spiritual visitation of one of my closest friends. Like he was literally in the gym with me. And I said, what's up to him?
Did a basketball fly over your head? And
No, it was
like,
no,
nobody was
there
there.
was
That
no
was crazy.
spookiness.
Okay.
I wasn't afraid. I welcomed. It was almost like an acknowledgement of him specifically.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, BJ Francisco.
I was about to ask his name just now
Big,
too.
it was like right there in the gym with me, and it was like some playful banter. Like he said something crazy to me, and I was like, man, whatever. You know, like it was as if we were together again in that moment. And I share that to say that a part of my process has been, although grief exists, although loss can be traumatic, what I have practiced is welcoming the positive attributes, the things that inspire me about them into my journey. To say, I now am going to carry that forward. I will represent my brother by going harder,
Right.
you know, in this area that I knew he was about. He was about this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that many more push-ups because he was about fitness.
Right.
Yeah.
Or this person was like reading and writing all the time. I want to take aspects of that and incorporate that because I now have to carry them with me. You
Yeah.
know, like, and so
Yeah.
I think about the soldiers and in combat, you have somebody who's fallen on the battlefield. You pick your comrade up and you carry them with you. You know, and so to what degree does our mental health journey involve not only using positivity to think about the future and continue to move ourselves forward, but embracing the thing or the people and or the aspects of our journey that may have been somewhat traumatic in a way that we own the good of it and we carry it forward.
That's important because when you were starting talking about the people that were sharing their comrades that they lost in war, I was thinking to myself, man, I've met a lot of military people that were solid. And then you started to say that you knew more people that passed than they did. And I was like, man, you're real solid too. And you know what I mean? And I thought, and I know that, you know, grief and mental health, I know that people, I generally understand that people go through a tough time with that. And I've been through tough times as well.
Yeah.
But I find myself reflecting on the dope individuals that I've met that have shared their overcoming of grief and how they've been able to just kind of carry on that same dream or that same zeal for life despite their close ones like passing.
Yeah. You know, I had an experience not too long ago. Last year, June of last year. So my uncle had passed away. My mom's brother. And
What was his name?
his name was Anthony. And I had, when I became a barber, I asked this question. I wonder if I'll ever have to do a haircut for someone that passed away. And
Whoa.
yeah, you don't think about it, but it's a question that barbers are faced with many times.
Because your hair keeps growing.
Yeah, well, not necessarily.
Well, people want to look fresh when they're viewed.
That too.
Yeah,
Youths.
you want your loved one to be presentable.
So you got to go in the morgue and fade them up?
So I had the experience. I flew to Boston, and they asked me, you know, do you want to do his haircut?
Damn.
And I was I knew this was gonna come someday. I didn't know who. It could have been one of my clients.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know it would be a family member.
Oh my God.
And they were like, "Oh, can you cut him up?" So there was something about the experience of doing it. So when I walked in to the morgue, I asked the gentleman that was guiding me. I said, "Just let me know what the body is first before I walk into it."
Say word.
And he said, "Okay." And then he basically said, he's in here, you know, when you're ready, I'll walk you through. And I just kind of like had to like, you know,
Yeah, prepare
for that moment. And then I walked in and I seen my uncle. No tears, no nothing. There was just a sense of like, I'm doing what I'm meant to do in this moment. Yeah. And then I just heard him tell me like, man, just cut my hair. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so, and then, you know, my cousin, she was there because she's just like, I was there first. And then she showed up and, you know, she seen her dad and she, you know, starts to tear up. And then I started, you know, I'm putting clippers out and stuff like that, putting gloves on. And then I just did it. I did it. And there's like there's a very interesting moment there because the soul is gone, right? The spirit is gone, but the shell remains there. So when you realize like it's just a shell, and the spirit and the soul is gone, making sure that when he's viewed, that he's viewed in the best possible version of himself. That's the last vision of the last memory you have of him. So I did that. I did the best that I could.
That's great.
To make sure, like, when he's viewed, that he's viewed in the best version of himself.
Man,
So
salute to you for that, just for serving in that way. You know, something that you just said, I would want to open up for our exploration. When our loved ones transition, is the spirit gone, or is the spirit just separated from the physical body, right? Because in my example, what I have been experiencing is like the spirit remains. It's just separated from that physical body. So the body is what we see in the casket and that whole bit. The body is what we bury or we cremate, depending on the person's wishes. But I'm encountering the presence of those spirits remaining. They're still with us. They still love us. We still love them. The same friend that I spoke about, the day that he passed, he actually was in a tragic accident. He was riding his motorcycle, and somebody was recklessly driving and did like some weird U-turn, and they hit him while he was riding on his motorcycle, knocked him off his bike, and they rushed him to the hospital and was pronounced dead. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. But that day, this was happening. I learned of that story that night. But during the day, I was actually on a day date with my girlfriend at the time, who's my now wife.
Amen.
We were moving around Chicago, just going to different places. I think I had taken off work for the day, so it was like a day date. That's what we were calling it. Every place we went into, it could be the most random song playing, like at the Starbucks or at all those shoe stores. Like they playing music in these establishments. Everything was resonating so deeply with me. It could be the most random song where I was just like, vibing all day. That friend was a DJ.
Wow.
He was a DJ. And so later on that evening, when I got the word that he passed away, I went to the hospital, family is there and all this kind of stuff. And so then later on, I'm kind of talking to my wife about it, and I'm just like, yo, remember that day I was just like bopping to every piece of music that I heard? And she was like, yeah. I said, I felt like, now that I think back on that, I think it was a message. It was almost like he was saying goodbye. Like he was spinning for me one last time, so to speak. It was just, but it was my awareness of that specifically that really leads me to think that even in our trauma, even when we're, experiencing loss, that there's still something that we gain. Right. If our perspective is prepared for that. So this has been an enriching conversation, and I really do want us to, in light of those who are tuned in to the podcast, open up space for us to encourage folks who may be carrying very heavy weight. Yeah. And trauma can come in all types of forms. I mean, we've in this conversation, we've been talking about grief and loss associated with loved ones passing away, but we know people who have experienced very traumatic things from early ages all the way throughout life. What can we say to encourage brothers, sisters, whoever, particularly men, who are silently battling with the weight of things that are heavy on their hearts, on their minds? What would you all have to offer?
I would say that God wouldn't put any weight on you that you wouldn't be able to bear. And I would say I am saying that you need to root yourself in the moment and be grateful for what you have, and then move forward in honor of those that you've lost, and in honor for yourself and for all the sacrifices that have been made for you to exist in this very moment.
That's powerful.
What I would say is that we have two voices. There's a voice that you have that you use to speak, you use to communicate, but there's also a voice that's you know, when you're talking to yourself, that voice when you're thinking and you're like, man, I should do the right thing. I should do this. I shouldn't. Whatever, you know. Sometimes that voice that's so faint in the background in your mind, it's actually the voice that's trying to guide you in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, for example, I'll tell myself, man, I gotta get to it. I'm trying to be part of this group at 6 a.m. There's a 6 a.m. run club. I'm trying to be part of that group, right? I'll tell my girl, man, I'm trying to like be out there and let's run club at 6 a.m., right? Mm-hmm. And in your mind, that little voice is like, yeah, you need to be out there at 6 a.m., dude. Get out there and be.
Yeah, set your alarm.
Be part of that group. Set your alarm. 5 a.m., get up.
Make it happen.
5 a.m. It's literally like scheduling it for you. That voice is like, you're gonna get up at 5 a.m., you're gonna do this, you're gonna get, put your clothes on the dresser, your workout clothes. It's literally telling you what to do.
Step by step.
Step by step.
But the other voice.
But the other voice is like, but 5 a.m.
Really, dude?
It's already 10. You know what I mean? So if you can master making that faint voice the loudest voice,
yeah, that's powerful, bro.
it'll help. It'll help your situation.
That's powerful. I will add to that, where we have trauma, where we've experienced loss, where we've experienced grief, find space to grieve. As men, as black men in our society, man, it could be perceived as threatening to others if we truly grieved the way that we need to grieve. If I wanted to scream and punch the wall and get, just like all of my rage, my anger out, I could probably get arrested. Somebody else could do that and be given a pardon. Oh, he's upset. This just happened to him. But if I do it, you know how they say, oh, it's cool when they do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's cool when they, but if I do it,
I'm going to jail.
Man, this guy was aggressive. He was, so
do not pass go.
We deserve to have healthy spaces where we can grieve. And for me, I learned over the years, the basketball court has been a place that I can grieve. Mm-hmm. To go in the gym and put up shots, man, it's a place where I can clear my mind. I can actually hear my heartbeat. I could actually be in tune with what I'm actually feeling in the moment. And so whatever it is, we have to find it, man. If it's hitting the heavy bag, if it's going for a run, what is it that we can do to have a healthy outlet so that we can work through these emotions that we're wrestling with or the things that are weighing heavily on our minds? And so my encouragement to anybody who's watching is find that outlet, that healthy outlet. It may have to involve getting with some people who can cover you. You remember the mothers at the church, if somebody was being led by the Spirit and they started shouting, and somebody would come and get those blankets and cover them, create a safe space for that person to get. They're not stopping them.
Right.
It's like, no, let them shout. Let them get, they need to release this, but we're going to create a shield around them where this can happen.
Yeah.
What does it look like in 2025 for men to have those types of environments, to cultivate those types of environments where we can have our periodic moments where we just grieve and just get it out so that we can get back to moving forward.
Yeah, that's real.
So grief is important. We don't have to push ourselves through it like,
True.
just tough it up.
Right.
We may have spoken about this in previous episodes of being raised to pop back up as soon as we fall down and just scrape off the bruise and just keep playing.
Right.
There may be a time where we legit need a timeout to just heal.
Yeah.
And I'll get back in the game eventually. But for right now, I need to just sit on the sideline and deal with the fact that this legitimately hurts. And I'm going to sit here until I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, man, I appreciate you, brothers.
Likewise, always.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for just open and honest dialogue. And that's what we do here. We really look forward to connecting with you all next time, however you're receiving this. engage with us. Send us a note, drop a comment, whatever. Share this with other people that you think this may be a blessing to. We are the Alert and Calm Podcast, and we will catch y'all next time. Peace and love.
Peace.
Peace.